This episode is brought to you by freedadcourse.com. You are always one conversation away from changing your life, and the power of hello is something that I subscribe to every single day, and I'm always saying hello to new people everywhere I go. Increasing your opportunity, increasing your connection, and getting access to the solutions to the problems that you are facing, whether you're on active duty or just beginning your veteran transition or even transitioning out for 20 years. On the other side of hello are the solutions that you're looking for. Again, head on over to freedadcourse.com. Get your 5-episode audio course to create more connection, create more friendships, and get back to living the life that you're trying to design.
Dory 1, this is Fire Team Delta. Dad's coming home. Welcome to the Military Veteran Dad Podcast, where it is our mission to bring every dad home. I am your host, Ben Killoy. I'm a United States Marine veteran, husband, and a father. We will bring authentic conversations to inspire action in your life so we can close the gap between the dad you are today and the dad you want to be tomorrow. This is the Military Veteran Dad Podcast.
Welcome back to Fatherhood Friday. This is your official welcome to the weekend. Whether it be spring break this week, or whether it be spring break next week, or maybe you've got spring break in 2 weeks, whatever it may be, this one thing is true. It is the weekend. What does that mean? It means time for dad. It means time for adventure. It means time to get out of the house and enjoy spring. Wherever you are at in the United States, take advantage of the change in season, whatever season you're going from. Maybe you're going from the nice, cool 70-degree weather of Arizona, getting ready for the hot of Arizona, or in Florida for the same type of balance, whatever it may be. Find your adventure out there. If you listened to last week's episode about the 5 strategies that have more connection, go back and check that. I have gotten so much feedback on that episode of how it is already changing families out there. I had a dad immediately share that night that the episode came out about how he already came home and it was already affecting how he showed up. So go check out that episode. If you also want to check out the PDF version of it, go head over to militaryveterandad.com, subscribe. It'll send you the link there. It'll also give you 2 other bonuses there, the friendship course, and it'll also give you a budget your time like you budget your money ebook about how to frame and get your time back in your life. All of that at militaryveterandad.com. Now, let's talk about this week's episode. This episode this week, this particular Fatherhood Friday, is one that has been almost 2.5 years in the making. Because as I've hinted on the podcast in a couple different episodes, home is something I've talked about, but I haven't really done a good job diving into. And there's a lot of irony here, because the mission from the very beginning of this podcast was to bring every dad home. It was a simple idea. It was so simple, I thought, it's got to be it. Now, what I didn't realize when I created it is what really is behind it. I knew only one thing, that I was bringing dads that were already physically home, emotionally home. But I really didn't even know what that fully meant. And as I've been having some really impactful conversations with the It's Time to Come Home coaching program, it has really deepened me that the word home is only a 4-letter word. But that 4-letter word can move a man to tears. I have talked to many dads that we essentially come to the conclusion that their entire life, not just from a military sense, but their entire life, they've been searching for this feeling of home. They've been moving about the country. They've been moving from job to job. They've been trying to earn these pieces of paper that say, I'm good enough. And so much of what they're craving on the inside is a feeling of home, feeling of love, a feeling of love on the inside for who they are, that they are already good enough. They're already appreciated for everything that they are. Something I hear also with dads and a lot of that I work with is we often say, and this was me, I'm not good enough. And it's an interesting phrase because it's like, yeah, I can get it, but is it true? No. And I had another coach of mine explain it this way, that when we came into this world, we were good enough. And however old you are, however many days have been since you came into this world, you're still good enough. But we still have that feeling. We still have that thought. And oftentimes, it's just we've been chasing this feeling that we didn't have growing up. To feel like home. Like I said, it's a 4-letter word, HOME. But there are so many dads out there that aren't even understanding what they're chasing. So guys, this is your message. This is your reminder. And maybe even visibility. That maybe out of all the actions you've cumulatedly done in your life, maybe, just maybe, you've been searching for the feeling of home. Now, that may have just hit you in a really hard way. Because when I've said it to other dads, they've started crying. Because it was that impactful of a feeling. Why does it resonate that deeply? Well, let's think about it. As a kid, we want to know that we are seen, we are felt, we are loved, and we are heard. When we have those 4 things, we feel like home. Because that makes us feel safe. It makes us know certainty. It makes us know that we don't have to be someone different to feel love from the people around us. That we don't have to continue to do more to have that love around us. It reminds us that we don't have to be anybody different to have that love. There's a piece of advice that I'm always giving to dads, and initially it's almost too fragmented for the land. But with this context of home, it makes sense. A lot of dads need to do less doing and start being more. Doing less and being more. Because doing means you're trying to do something to get somewhere that actually doesn't come. Because inside it's a feeling of being enough already. It's an impactful word. It's one 4-letter word. It's been at the front side of this podcast since the very inception. And me as a podcast host, I am just now touching the surface of what this word means. Because it means walking through the door of your home. What does that feel like? That's a feeling. Is there a feeling that you're wanted? Is it a feeling of welcome? Or is it a feeling of, I need to hide from that feeling? Because maybe you've never felt home, and maybe you do have everything at home that you need or whatever a dad needs, and it doesn't feel right because you've never had it. And sometimes the dads that I'm talking to, they just need to give themselves permission. Like they have everything around them that they need. They just need to give themselves permission to come home. Like I said, it's literally been the tagline of this podcast since the very beginning. It's time to come home. Bring every dad home. And I remember how this idea came about as I was doing a mind map on an airplane in 2018, September, coming back from a conference where I had the inspiration for this podcast. And I was doing that mind map, and I kept drawing this line, is that all dads want to do is get home. And essentially it came to me, bring every dad home. But man, 2.5 years later, I am now just picking up the needles of what that actually meant. And you might also be wondering what picking up the needles means. I'm not exactly sure. I think I just ran with that. We'll avoid that, move on. Or maybe picking up the needles is actually a thing. If it is, send me an email, ben@militaryveterandad.com. I'd be glad to know that it is a thing. But nevertheless, let's get back. What does home feel like? Really think about this. What does the feeling look like in your life? What does that feeling feel like? Here's another powerful question. When was the last time you felt home? Go back however far you need to. When was the last time you truly felt home? And go back to that moment and figure out what it looked like. Where did you get off the path? Where did you start running on a different set of programming that prevented you from feeling like you were home? Because home is just a building in the physical context, but it's an emotional feeling that almost every human being is chasing and trying to get to. And the big epiphany of life is we already have it. So this episode is dedicated to you, the dad that needed to hear home could be the one thing that you've been chasing, could be the one thing that you're running from, could be the reason why you joined the military. And now that you have your own family, you don't know how to come back. Even though it's a different family, the emotional detachment is still there. Whatever it may be, home is what I'm finding that most dads are looking for, even though they don't know it. Until I gift them that word and the context, I think you've been looking for home your entire life, and no one's told you. So, if this resonated with you, if this is something that you're searching from, no, you're not alone. You're not alone. That is the most fundamental feeling I hope you feel if you've been a long-time listener to this podcast, is sharing thoughts, sharing feelings, sharing our deepest fears helps you understand that you are not alone. You have other people out there. And if you are ready to come home, if you are ready to find that feeling and you don't know and you need a GPS, head on over to bencloy.com. There is a free coaching call there. And that coaching call could be the one path that you need to get home. There's no strings attached to that call. That call is a real coaching call where we jump in together to find the path to get you home. And again, the website is bencloy.com. So with that, I hope this helped. I hope you've been able to bring a new feeling to the surface. And I hope, maybe for the first time in forever, that this weekend represents a shift, monumental inside you, where you come home as a dad. Guys, have an amazing weekend. Find adventure. Be dad. And as always, if you haven't catch the announcements, I will not be talking to you on Monday, but I will be talking to you again on Friday. One more week, and then we are back to the interview shows.